Hola, buenos días, soy yo el profe. In this particular video, I'm going to pick up something that somebody put on the channel the other day, and it's a question of how to remember vocabulary. Now, it's a big problem, and I know it's a big problem, and let's look at it. So what I really want to talk to you about is how to learn Spanish vocabulary effectively. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is actually having some targets for learning vocabulary, and then I'm going to break it down into what you can actually do and how you can do it. And I'm going to look at an old-fashioned way of doing it and perhaps a more modern way of doing it. And then perhaps at the end we can talk about, well, what should your target be? And that's something that you should take some ownership of. But having said all that, let's get going into the meat of this video. So first up, targets. Now, learning vocabulary effectively, what targets are you actually going to have? Now, you may have heard teachers talking about SMART targets, and I'm going to quickly go through those. Now, targets are supposed to be specific. In other words, you know what your target is, how many words a day, what sort of vocabulary, how long are you actually going to be spending on learning that vocabulary. You're going to be able to measure it, or it is measurable. So in other words, how many? 10, 20, 5. Decide on it, stick with it, and do it. Achievable. Now here's a key one. Often when I talk to students, they'll talk about, oh yeah, I can do 10 a day and I'm going to keep it up for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. Some do, some don't. But the whole point is it achievable for you? Can you do it? And will you own the actual target? Achievable. Is it realistic? Yes. Is it realistic? If you say 100 a day, it's not realistic. 5 a day, well, it's sort of realistic, but there's got to be an element of push over and beyond. You've got to go that little extra mile, because this is not easy and it requires work. Oh yes, the W word has come in. It requires work. And SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Sorry, the pen's running out there. That actually says timely, and that means it's time bound, and you are going to do something within a specific period of time. All of this is a very clever way, if you like, with this particular formulation of saying have some targets and know what you're aiming for and stick with them. So how can you actually learn vocab? It's not easy. It requires the work. It requires the W word again. But let's look. I've got some old-fashioned ideas up here. Well, copy, write, check. Copy, write, check. Going back to primary school. But the primary system works. Look at the word, copy it down. Perhaps cover it up and then write it again. It's the physicality of doing that will mean that you will actually start learning some of the vocabulary. Or the other way that I've suggested to people in the past, stick it on post-it notes. Yeah, old-fashioned. Not very high-tech, not very high-tech at all, but effective. Post-it notes. Where do you put the post-it notes? I'll give you 2 ideas. Firstly, you can stick the post-it notes up in your bedroom. Why in your bedroom? Because you are going to see them last thing at night, first thing in the morning, and so it's constantly going to be with you. It's not going to be stuck in a book. It's not going to be closed over. You're actually going to be able to see it. And that way it will start seeping into your mind. If you're really brave, however, this is what I'd suggest. You put it on the fridge in the kitchen. Stick them on the fridge in the kitchen. Why do you do that? Well, I've got a funny feeling that certain people in the household are going to say, why are they up there? Oh, and by the way, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does the other mean? It ups the ante, the pressure's on, but it makes the language learning and the vocabulary learning real. It's something that you really have to do, because then mum, dad, whoever it is going to start saying, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? And that's going to put that little bit of pressure on you to actually up the game. Oh, someone testing you, fairly obvious, and that's really what I've just said there. Somebody testing you, yeah, if that post-it note is on the fridge, somebody's going to start testing you. Or get a sister or a brother. They're a good idea, or mum or dad or whoever, somebody to test you. It just ups the ante. It just puts that little bit of friendly pressure on you. So that's old-fashioned. How about some more modern ways? And I've noted down 3 here. This is my favourite, Quizlet. If you're not aware of Quizlet, what I have done is I'll put links in the description below on Quizlets. And these are Quizlets that I've put together. And Quizlets are basically electronic flashcards. And they are absolutely fantastic. You can get Quizlet on your phone, on your iPad. In those times when you've got perhaps 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you can go on and you can check. I've got somebody at the moment who I'm actually working with at GCSE Spanish, and she catches the train, and for 12 minutes one way, 12 minutes coming to school, 12 minutes going home, she's actually on her Quizlet, and she is learning that vocabulary systematically. She's got a specific target and it's measurable. It's 12 minutes. Really works well, and it's working very well for her. And what she actually does is she texts me with her result, or does a screenshot and sends me a text with what result she's got. And we've agreed that her pass mark is 70%. Because sometimes you don't need to get it 100% all the time. It's the mere fact you're doing it, and you're doing it regularly. That's what counts. Something I came across again recently is Sporcle. If you look up Sporcle on the net, it's a website, and it's got lots and lots of ways that you can test yourself. Lots of the things are already up there. It's a little bit like Quizlet, but slightly less organised than a Quizlet. And then another one of my favourites is SpanishDict.com. If you're not aware of SpanishDict.com, I will be putting a link in the description below for SpanishDict.com. And in fact, I did a video about a week or so ago on SpanishDict.com. Well worth looking at that video, and I'll put a link to that video in the description below as well. I've talked a lot, targets. I've talked about the ways you can actually do it. But what should your target be? And this really is up to you. Are you going to do 10 words a day, 15 words a day, 20 words a day? Are you going to do 5 minutes or 10 minutes? It's not the superhero stretch of an hour or 2 before the actual exam that scores really well. It's people who do it consistently, nibbling away at the target, doing it every day regularly, because it's that regularity is really important. It's no good actually expecting to cram it all in before the exam. It's all about building and building and building. And to this very day, I am building and constantly building my Spanish vocabulary. And because I've practiced and I've built it up, it's slowly got larger and larger and larger. So, as I say, just to wrap up, all the relevant links will be in the description below. If you have found this useful, please give the thumbs up. And if there are any other videos that you'd like me to make, I'm more than happy to make them. Hasta pronto, amigos, míos. Now, if you did find that useful, why don't you give it a thumbs up? And can I perhaps be cheeky and ask, why don't you actually subscribe to the channel? Muchas gracias, amigos míos.